What's going on, everyone? And just like that, wow. Forgive me, I got up a few seconds ago and actually left a notebook that I wanted to read from today. Typically I don't use the notebook. Yeah, we're not gonna have that noise in the background. Typically I don't use the notebook. I might have used it once before. There's a few things that I kind of want to go over, right? Because I did I did a little bit of research. Um, I did a little bit of research, you know, um, on Colt Gray, right, who is the suspect um, in the incident that happened over in Georgia at the high school Aapalachee, right, the Aapalachee High School. Hey, Asia, how you doing? How are you, Asia? I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Kind of just I actually just finished eating. Um, took my daughter to school today, earlier today. Um, actually I met her at school and I spent some time with her. Um, you know, kind of a bittersweet day, to be completely honest with you, because my heart goes out to all the victims. And I actually wrote their names down here. Uh, Mason Schermerhorn, right, which is one of the students that lost their life. Uh, Christian Angulo, which is another student that lost their life. Christina Iremi, I believe is how her name is pronounced. I do not know how to pronounce that last name. I'm going to say Iremi. I'm sorry about that pronunciation. And Richard Aspinwall, which is a teacher. So both of the last two people that I named were teachers. So those are the people that lost their life in the incident that happened over there in Georgia at that high school, Aapalachee. So I kind of was thinking to myself, right? Because I read one of the comments. My mom sort of has a perspective on, the parenting and the parents that were, I don't want to say behind the scenes, right? I think behind the scenes is too strong of a word. However, you know, there's people that are of the or of the school of thought that the parents should also be charged for this situation. Um, because the parents knew prior that he had access to weapons, or at least the father knew that he had access to weapons. And there was an investigation May of last year, May of 2023. There was an investigation. And in the investigation, they were asked by the feds, does he have access to these weapons, right? And the father told them he does not have access to weapons, right? Because there was a threat initially last year. There was a threat, or an investigation of some sort of school, situation. And yeah, he was questioned about that. And the father responded, yeah, no, he doesn't have any access to the weapons, right? So it leads you to kind of think. All right, let me turn it on because it is kind of getting a little hot. I'm not gonna lie. All right. So it leads you to think, what accountability, right? Does if any accountability does the parents, especially the father in this incident, what do they have any sort of responsibility? Do they bear any responsibility for what took place yesterday on Wednesday? So initially I was thinking to myself, I don't know. But after hearing that there was a prior investigation, and you know, there was that, like, the feds came in, they did an investigation, there were questions asked, right? So what steps did the father take after that situation happened? Did the father try to help the kid get counseling, right? Did the father try to talk to the kid, show him some love and affection? Um, you know, really sit there and really try to hone in on what exactly the issue is with his child. Did he take the necessary precautions as a parent, right? When you see that your child is actually heading down the wrong path, and I'm not going to say in every situation, right? I'm not going to say in every situation is equal, right? But when you have so many different kids and so many different lives that are now affected by this situation, what role did the parent play? I'm not saying that the parent sent him to go out there and do it, right? I don't know how deep it goes, right? We're only seeing it from the surface level, the aftermath of what took place over there in Georgia. We're only seeing what happened, you know, from our sort of small perspective, right? From our distant perspective. We don't know all the details. Most of us don't know people that are involved in the situation, but it still affects us, right? Because we can relate to these people in some way or another, right? We're human beings. We have empathy towards the people that are going through this situation. Some of us have children in school. Some people are children in school. Some of us have grandchildren in school, right? So it affects most people, right? Most people have an opinion about this situation. But if you're a parent, right, and you receive a warning, right, and that was a warning, right? The feds came, they questioned you about the situation. You received a warning, right? So here it is. You received a warning about the situation. What steps did you take to make sure that the kid doesn't get access to any weapons, right? That you're sitting there and you're really trying to hone in on what the issue is with your child, right? Are you seeking counseling for your child? Are you seeking to help your child? What is it that you're doing, right? What steps did you take in order to prevent this from happening? Because it really starts with the kid, yeah, but it starts with the parent, right? It starts with the parent. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna go through the chat in a little bit. I just kind of want to get a few things off of my chest. And thank you so much, Asia, for saying hi to him. I appreciate that. Um, Hope everyone's having a great day today. As a matter of fact, thank you so much for the compliment as well. Someone says I don't know any details on the situation either. Right. So we don't have all the information, is what I'm saying. Right. So we don't have all the information. So we only have a limited amount of information. So all the emotion that we're attaching to the situation comes from our empathy towards the children that went through the situation and the families for the children that went through the situation, because we all know that this is a terrible thing and you can't wait until it gets down the street from you for you to be affected or for you to try to make some changes when it comes to, trying to control the situation, right? So does the parent, and I'm going to put that in a poll as a matter of fact, all right? All right, so that's the poll up there. So if you guys, so does the parent share any responsibility, right, with the suspect in the situation that happened over there in Georgia, right? Now let's talk about the security, right? So that's a question for you guys to ask. Ask yourself: did he act alone? What did the parents do? Or you know, what sort of background, what sort of home did he come from? Right? So that's number one. That's number one. We're going to get that out of the way. Number two, we're going to talk about the security at these schools, right? Because I was at my daughter's school earlier today, and I kind of noticed this before, but the security there is not exactly something that's like, wow, oh my God. You know what I mean? You come in, they don't check IDs, nothing, right? You go in, you walk in with it. Anybody could pretty much just walk in, right? Right? I didn't see anybody at the doors like, hey, such and such and such. Or, even though I've been there before, they might recognize me. Do you recognize everybody else? Some people there are new, transferred from different schools, all sorts of stuff, right? So what are the security measures, right? So you go to an NBA game, there's going to be police presence. You go to an NFL game, there's going to be police presence. You go to the baseball game, Yankee Stadium, right? Mets, there's going to be police presence. People are going to secure the courtrooms. People are going to secure the airports, these concerts, right? These places are going to be secured, right? So it minimizes the risk of something to this extent happening, right? It minimizes the risk of something because you're trying to make sure it doesn't get out of hand. You're trying to control the crowd, right? And you don't want anybody to cease to exist, for lack of a better term. You don't want that to happen. So what do? You beef up security at the NBA games, courthouses, airports, concerts, NFL games, etc., 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 etc. So my question is this, right? And I've asked this question before. I've asked the question yesterday. I've asked the question earlier in the day yesterday. I've asked the question this morning, right? When we did the live early in this morning at 12 something a.m. this morning. I think it was 12:30 or something like that. So when we ask these questions, right? What are the answers? Like, what exactly is happening? Like, we should be going to schools, right? Regardless of how people feel about it. We should be, whenever we go to schools, we should be like, man, I feel like that place is really safe and secure, right? A safe, secure place for a child to be at. You know what I'm saying? And I just don't understand why it's not. But it seems as if everywhere else that money is made, right, is secure. But why isn't the place where the people that are the most vulnerable and the people that are the future of the country, the future of the world, why aren't they secure? I don't understand. So what are we doing here? Anyway, I'm going to get off into some of these questions. Hello, Asia, once again. Pleasure to have you here. Someone says nice hair. Appreciate that. Thank you. Hope you're having a blessed day as well. I read those comments already. I'm sorry about that. I believe so, yes. Because staying involved actively in your child's life needs to be number one priority. Right. Staying involved in your child's life needs to be number one priority, right? Regardless of if a parent is trying to keep you away from your child or not. The child is the most important. If you're not somebody that's hurting the child or trying to hurt the child right? Or things like that, but you want to bring value to it. Like the kids need to be loved. Kids need to know what love is, right? Kids need to be to see examples of elevating your frequency, right? Of overcoming obstacles, overcoming challenges that do happen in life, right? So what exactly was really going on in this young man's private life? Who was there for him to talk? Because it seems as if his parents split up, right? So that's the little research that I did. It's confirmed that evidently his parents split up, right? I guess his mom went with, I believe, 2 siblings, right? Went with his mom, and he stayed with his father. And that could be something that has a really negative effect on a child, right? You see your siblings, they're not here anymore. Don't know how old his siblings are. Your mom's not around. You're here with your father. Broken family, broken home. That can have an effect. That can have a really negative effect on a child, right? So I remember what it was like to be a teenager. I remember what it was like to be a teenager that had a chip on my shoulder, right? I didn't let anybody play with me when I was a teenager, right? And that's because I realized, hey, it's no sense in being a pushover, because people will absolutely push you over if they realize that they could do it, right? So in the environment that I was raised in, or the several different environments that I was raised in, I knew I had to be tough, right? But in doing so, I never thought for 1 second I needed to go and hurt somebody that didn't do anything to me, wasn't threatening my life, wasn't trying to hurt me, wasn't trying to hurt anyone else, right? I never thought for 1 second that I should go out on the offense and do something like this, right? But I could understand from the perspective of someone broken home, both of the parents are not there, what effects that has on your life, right? When you do want to speak about something, you don't know who to really trust, right? Not having as much contact as you want with both of your parents. So I could understand from that perspective that there was turmoil going on in this kid's mind. Now, I don't condone anything that he did, right? Let's make that very clear. But I could understand feeling frustrations, feeling, almost neglected, right? From a kid's perspective. I could get that. But who do you talk to in a situation like that so that it doesn't get out of hand? How do you release that energy in a positive way? How do you release that energy without hurting other people? What are some of the things that could have been done to prevent situations like this from happening? Are we as a country doing enough to prevent these things from happening? Obviously not. Obviously not. Obviously we are not, right? Because this isn't the first incident that's happened. Hopefully it never happens again. But this isn't the first time it happened. And we've seen these situations before, right? What was it, 2020? That situation, what was the place? Sandy Hook or something like that? Columbine, right? Several different places all over America. Yet, still, they don't have enough security. Still, people are able to walk onto these campuses without being checked, right? For these weapons. And I really don't understand this at this point in 2024. I don't understand why, for the life of me, people aren't being checked once they get into a building filled with children, right? Or before they get into a building checked with children. Should have people on the perimeter protecting these kids. This is the future of America. There's no telling who's going to save the country. There's no telling who's going to save the world, right? So that's my whole thing. Stop cutting these kids' lives short by neglecting them in this way, okay? I think collectively there's a lot more that we could do. So should we be holding the father accountable? Were there warning signs? Is there something that, the school could have done? The parents could have done? The cops could have done to prevent the situation from happening? I think a lot of questions need to be asked in this regard. I think a lot of questions need to be asked in this regard. The dude was only 14. The victims, 14. I believe the other one was 14 as well. I don't know how old the teachers were, right? But just like that, quadruple homicide, right? On a school campus. And thousands of students, right? Not only there, but neighboring schools. Not only there, but right across the country. Maybe millions of students, millions of people for sure, impacted by this situation. And we ain't doing enough to prevent these things from happening. We're simply not doing enough to prevent these things from happening. Collectively, we're not doing enough to prevent these things from happening. Avery says, hi, I'm back today. Welcome back, Avery. Welcome back. Welcome back. How are you today? I'm doing well, Avery. Doing well. Doing well. How are you today? He says, what are you talking about today? Read the title in the thumbnail. The identity of the Aapalachee school shooter revealed. Should Colt's father also be held accountable, right? So we're trying to figure out, is this a situation where should his father also be held accountable for what it is that took place, right? Should his father also be held accountable for what it is that took place after the questioning happened? He was questioned about the situation, and then boom, lo and behold, 1 year later, a year and some change later, 4 people, right, no longer exist in this physical dimension. Greetings from Russia, says Vasilek. Big up yourself, Vasilek Voropev. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Republicans say God in schools will help, says Baron von Zinspans. Republicans say God in school will help. Republicans say God in school will help. God is everywhere at all times. I'm not exactly sure what it is that where it is that we're going with this, because I don't want this to be a religious thing, to be completely honest with you. I think this is bigger than any religion. But God is everywhere at all times, right? Should there be some structure and discipline in schools? Absolutely. Right? I don't want to get into the religious aspect of it. I think more self-awareness, right, of who we truly are. I think that would definitely help. Self-awareness. I think counseling would help. I think a loving environment will help. So if God provides that, then yeah, by all means, right? But I don't want to get off into religion, to be completely honest with you. Miss Berry, big up yourself. Thank you so much for that compliment. Hope your day's going well. Someone says Noah's Ark. Baron Von. I don't understand what you mean by Noah's Ark, to be honest with you. Avery says, I like the video. Thank you so much for liking the video, Avery. Thank you so much for liking the video. Love from India, bro. Big up to all of India. Big up to all of Russia. Big up to everybody that is in here right now. Good, clean advice says, not the beard, brother. How are you? Yeah. If you're just getting here today and you didn't see yesterday, yes, the beard is gone. Yeah, the beard, temporarily gone. It's already starting to grow back. You know what I mean? I cut it yesterday. And look, you already see the dark spots around my around here. So yeah, the beard is only temporarily gone. It will be back very soon, but I probably won't sort of grow it that long right now. Typically I only shave twice a year, once a year, maybe twice a year, since 2018-19. But that's not what we're gonna get into today. Yeah, we're talking about something completely different. But big up yourself, good, clean advice. Always a pleasure to see you. It's been a little while, but I hope all is well with you. Teresa Tillman says, yes, he brought his son the weapon for Christmas. Teresa Tillman, I did not recognize that. I did not know that. This is the first time I'm really actually hearing that he actually purchased this weapon for his son. Especially after what took place last year in terms of the investigation and everything like that. I don't think rewarding your son with a weapon, right, knowing that he's online making threats, about doing these things at schools, I don't think that's sort of the response, right? So does that now make you an accessory, right? I could see if you did something for someone not knowing that, this person may be a little unstable, or maybe something is happening, right? Or maybe there's an investigation, right? That's a different story. But you knew that there was something kind of brewing, right? And you didn't try to get him help. What did you do? When you bought him a gun. Yeah, if what you're saying is true, then yeah, I could definitely understand from your perspective. I definitely could. William Groover says, no, we don't do enough to recognize the signs of lacking these kids have. Okay. Whether it be love, empathy, morals, direction, or whatever it may be, they are all lacking. Um, you know something, William Groover? I wouldn't say they're all lacking. I will say this though. I will say there is certain factions and certain cultures of kids that are growing up that are sort of disrespectful. I would say the majority of them are not, right? I would say this isn't it occurs too often for my liking. It shouldn't be occurring at all, right? It's not an everyday thing that somebody does something like this at school, right? So I don't really think it's fair to really group all of these kids into this category, right? I don't want it to be a generational separation again, right? Like I don't want this to be a divide and conquer thing. It's a we thing. It affects everyone, right? So it doesn't just affect the young generation. It affects the older generation. It affects my generation, the generation above or ahead of us, the generation behind us, right? And it affects these kids, right? So what is it that we have done, or what is it that we can do better as well, right? What are the things that we can do better? How can we show these kids, right, that the things that they're doing, it's not the right way of going about things? How can we lead by example? How can we be the example that we want to set, right? And some of the accountability does sort of come to us as well. Some of it does come to us, plain and simple, whether we want to believe it or not, right? So this isn't an isolated situation. Um, well, it is, but it isn't, right? But this isn't a situation. And what I'm trying to say is this: just because it happened over there in Georgia, right? And here we are, all the way, on in the Northeast, right? We're not in the South. We're in the Northeast. It doesn't mean that, in some way, shape, or form, and not to say that we had anything to do with it directly, but what are the steps that we have taken to make sure that these things stop happening? Like, what are the opportunities that we're providing these kids in order to express themselves? How are we getting these metal detect? Are we getting metal detectors in school? Are we getting security in school? I'm not a politician, but still, like, these are some of the things that I want to see. I want to see implemented in these schools. You know what I mean? I think we're not doing enough. To be completely honest with you, we are not doing enough to stop these things from occurring. We're not doing enough. And kids lost their lives yesterday. Kids that should be here today, right? Kids that, who knows, may have went on to become president, may have went on to change America for the better, may have went on to change the world for the better. Who knows, right? Had their whole lives ahead of them. And they ain't here no more, right? But of course, energy can't be created nor destroyed. But we're not talking about that aspect of things right now. We're talking about from a third dimensional perspective. Good, clean advice says every parent should take accountability for their children's actions. There are some rare cases to where the parents aren't at fault at all, but it starts with parent taking accountability and teaching their children the right way to live and help people. Some accountability, but we can't say all accountability, right? Because, children also have a mind of their own as well. And you could tell your kid till you're blue in the face not to do something, they may or may not decide to do it, right? Based on whatever their reasoning is of doing this, right? But situations like this can be prevented if, as parents, we are there for our kid. We are showing our kids love, right? We're speaking to our kids. We're getting to know our kids. We're understanding our kids' likes and their dislikes, right? And we're providing a shoulder for them to lean on, right? Whenever they're going through their storms, that we're there for them. But when you neglect your kids, these are the sort of things that happen, right? And I understand some people are not able to see their kids every day. Some people are not able to be there for their children as much as they would like to be there for their children, right? And that's unfortunate. That's also a problem with the system as well. I think it ought to be more fair. I think it ought to be more fair for everybody involved, and not just one-sided. And I think we all know precisely what it is that I mean by that, right? Because kids need both parents. Kids need love from both parents. Stop with all of this rivalry, all of this, here and now emotional BS, right? Regardless of if you're still in a relationship with the other parent or not, that's their child as much as it's your child, right? So allow parents to parent. Allow them to parent, right? So this problem goes deep. It goes really deep. Kid doesn't have both parents in the home. Kid doesn't get the love that and affection that children need, right? That is a vital part of them growing up to become wholesome, balanced adults. They need that. They need it, right? And some of us didn't grow up with that level of love, but we know, right? We know deep down in us that that was sort of something that was missing, right? From externally, right? And then we learned how to love ourselves, right? But no one having to show us. But we had to learn how to love ourselves, not how we look on the outside, but who we are at our core. And I think people that love themselves, people that learn how to love themselves, they don't put themselves into a predicament where they have to go into a school, right? And do something like this. Because there's consequences that come with that, right? And someone said to me yesterday that, I forgot who it was, but somebody said it in the chat. And they feel as if anybody who does things like this should be unalived. And I agree, but I disagree at the same time. Because we have to rectify the problem at some point, right? At some point, we got to sit down and say, all right, cool. Well, let's see the train of thought. Let's see the mind of this person right here. We got to talk to them directly and find out what the motive was. Find out why it is that they got up and did these things, right? So that in the future, we're able to see the warning signs. So I think this is we have to study a situation like this. It has to be studied, right? So when we see other kids that are going through the same situation, we can take the right action, the right course of action. Yeah, but I get what it is that you're saying. El Shata for Life says, hello from Colombia. Big up yourself, big up yourself. By C Chair Chen, not entirely sure what that means. Hi, what are we talking about, says Jocelyn? Well, we're talking about the situation that happened in Aapalachee, Georgia, yesterday in Aapalachee, well, not Aapalachee, Georgia, but Aapalachee High School in Winder, I believe was the name of the city, the town in Georgia. So, guys, we've had 20. How many votes have we had this far? We've had 29 votes. 52% of people say yes, the parent should be held responsible as well. 48% say no. So 48% say no, and 52% say yes. Tarex, say Salah. Okay. Um, Peace to the Middle East is what I will say, right? Peace to the Middle East is what I will say. Again, I can't. I don't. I want to make this something right now. Right now, we're focused on what's happening in, um, at the high school out there in Georgia. That's what we're focused on right now. Uh-oh, I just spilled the whole, most of the water. That's what we're focused on right now. So I do wish for peace between Palestine and Israel. I do want peace between both. But if you're gonna try to get up here to get me to choose sides again, one against the other, I don't know enough, right, about that situation to choose one side or the other. Okay? So please, I wish for peace between both sides. That's as far as I will go where that's concerned. Corentin C says, I do not want to live in the USA with my American wife. That's what the real Native Americans do and did. And he says, hello from Belgium, Europe. Big up yourself from Belgium. Not entirely sure if I really follow what it is that you're trying to say when you say that's what the real Americans do and did. So please elaborate. What's up, G? It's me, Mario. What's good, Mario? How you doing, man? How are you? Pleasure to see you. Pleasure to see you. Nevaeh Rhodes says, guess what? Hey, Nevaeh, how you doing? What? Hope you had a great day, by the way. Yes, because they should always know what your kids is watching or hanging around with. Always is a little bit of a stretch, right? Always is a little bit of a stretch. And I'm not saying micromanage your kids because they're gonna have to make their own decision at one point or another, right? So I'm not trying to make this like a codependent thing, right? But instilling them some values, instilling them some love, right? Be there for them because they need you. That's the reason why you're a parent, right? You're here to be there for them, right? It's not about you anymore. It's about us now. And then eventually it's going to be about them, right? So I don't think that we're doing enough in that regard. And I think we could do a whole lot more. Yeah. AJW says hi. Hello, AJW. How you doing? Hope you're having a blessed day today. Hope everyone is having a blessed day today. If I walk back, we'll stay far. We're dealing with Junes and rhyme. Right, so yeah. So yeah, this kid was under investigation last year, right? When he was 13 years old. You know, their father said that they were hunting weapons in the house, but the team didn't have access to the weapons. They didn't have unsupervised access to the weapons. So when someone says that the gun was purchased for him for Christmas, I don't know. Maybe not. Right? I'm not sure how much weight to really put onto that one right there. To be honest with you. Yeah, but you know, we need to start taking a little bit more precaution. And when we see these kids are, you know, heading down the wrong path, man. I don't know, man. You know, is it by design? Is it by design though? You know, it's not just a cultural thing. It's not just exclusive to just one culture. You know. Yeah, man, this is so sad. Hello, Sarah. How you doing today, Sarah? And listen, guys, I really don't want to turn this channel into just speaking about that situation, right? But because so many of us have children, and this is something that affects all of us. I think we ought to start putting we ought to put an end to this. To be completely honest with you, I'm not gonna hang around too much longer. I just want to say, rest in peace again, to Mason Schermerhorn, Christian Angulo, Christina Irami, and Richard Aspinwall, who are all the people that have lost their lives in this situation, right? So, guys, I will be back later on. I will be back later on tonight, and we're not going to spend too much more time on this topic. You know, I've said, I think I've said enough, right? Now is really the time for us to really start to take action in this regard. Like, what is it that we can actually do in order to, actually help some of the people that are going through this situation right now? How can we really implement something? Sarah says, I'm doing good, just a little tired. How are you? I'm the same, actually. I'm the same. Last night I went to bed really late. Woke up early because I had to be at the school with my kid this morning. And I had some other things to do as well. Plus, I'm off today, so I came back and I took a nap. So feeling a little groggy, but it is what it is, right? I'm probably gonna lay down for a little bit more, and I will be back later on. But yeah, I think we're gonna be discussing a different topic later on. And in situations like this, guys, I still believe there is good in the world, and I don't really know what to say or what it is that I really want done to this individual, because so many people lost their lives in this situation, right? But this kid needed help. But at the same time, man, you knew that wasn't the right thing to do. You knew that was wrong, But anyway, guys, Sarah says, we're both groggy tonight. What kind of topic later on, or is it a surprise? It's a surprise. It's a surprise. And it's a surprise because I don't even know what we're going to be talking about later, to be completely honest with you. But we're not going to stick to this. We're not going to be discussing this too much more. I think we dedicated three segments to it. Now it's time to really dedicate some action toward it. With the little that we've been provided, I think we've said quite enough. He says, what state are you in? You're talking about my state of mind, my state of being. I'm in New York State, if that's what you mean. I'm in New York State. But yeah, I will be back later, guys. I try to make the show earlier as well. I might come back around 10:30 or so. So everyone have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day. We're not used to spending too much time talking about things like this. But yeah, later on we'll get into something else. You know what I mean? And I hope you guys are having a blessed day. Continue to have a blessed day, and I'll see you guys later. Rest in peace to everyone who's lost their life in this situation, and our condolences to the victims' families in this situation as well. It's me, Mario. Hope to see you later. Sarah, I hope to see you later as well. Someone says I have a military plate grade helmet too. Okay, yeah, man, you're right. I got a military grade helmet. Big heads matter. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.